Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV and our continuing live and exclusive coverage of the Skip Barber Monday Lights. We're coming to you live tonight from Imola for round 11. And before we get into it, as always, we have Alex McKellar here. Welcome back, Alex, and big field tonight.
Yeah, thanks Bernie, great to be here. I'm going to have to apologise straight up. My iRacing hasn't loaded, Bernie, and I might be stuck out on a limb here for a moment while it tries to load. I might even have to restart, I'm afraid, mate. So I apologise to our viewers and everyone involved, and you particularly, Bernie. I might just have to duck out and restart for a minute, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Well, while Alex is doing that, folks, let's have a look at the track at the moment. So we're running the Imola Grand Prix circuit, 17 turns out there tonight with a length of 5 kilometres. The sky at the moment's clear, wind speed 15 kilometres an hour, track temp though scorching 42 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be a hot one out there again tonight. So at the moment the guys are out there qualifying, and we can see Ian Robertson sitting 19th at the moment. And while the guys go out there and finalise their qualifying, let's have a look at the point score, because it's getting very tight up front. Enzo Cantor has taken the lead from Luke Whitten, and so he leads 236 to 220 points. Second, as I said, Luke Whitten. Third, Russell Clark on 188 points. Fourth, Mick Gray on 175 points, and rounding out your top 5 is Simon Chambers on 156 points, and Simon normally runs in the second split. So but Enzo's pretty much, he had a slow start, but he's been marching towards the front, and this is the first week that he's actually led this series, which is good timing because we only have one more round to go next week, and that's at mid-Ohio before we have our Christmas break. So at the moment Enzo Cantor is on provisional pole. He's set a let's have a look, he's coming around now, sorry. So I'll tell you what time he sets in a moment. Okay, so he set a 204.164 provisional pole, followed by Stephen Brumfeld in second, did a 204.375. But now Luke Whitten, he's just jumped to provisional pole with the scorching 203.948, so the times is definitely starting to come in now. Luke's the only driver in the 203, so he's definitely looking on having a better run than he did last week. He had a bit of a shocker last week and had a coming together with Kevin Henderson very early on. It was quite an interesting race. We actually lost first and second within the first couple of laps, and Enzo Cantor went on to win that round. So see now Ben Furhoff across the line, 203.797. So the times are definitely coming down. He beat Luke's time by 0.2 of a second. They get 2 flying laps around here, folks. So they've all done one, and they're on their final flying laps now. So we'll keep an eye on Enzo Cantor because he will want to try and improve this. His time was a 204.164, and he's just coming down towards Ravassa now. So he's coming in through Ravassa for his final time before he comes back up onto the front straight, and we'll see how his time stacks up. He needs to beat a 203.797 to take pole position here tonight. So he did a 203.601, so he jumps into provisional pole. Now Luke Whitten comes across. He's sitting in third at the moment. His time was not counted, so he had a bit of a shocker there, but all of a sudden Josh Anderson jumps up, 203.407. Fantastic run there. So at the moment we have Josh Anderson provisional pole, Enzo Cantor second. Ben Furhoff sitting in third at the moment. Marcelo Rivera, he's jumped up to fourth with a 2:03.842. Luke Whitten, he's down there starting from fifth position at the moment.
Yeah, g'day Bernie, I'm back. The old girl's struggling a bit tonight, mate, but we're slowly joining the server in. I'm interested to hear Luke's in fifth position, mate. He's done a lot of driving this week, and he's been really quick too. He won the preceding race tonight with a high strength of field, so he'll be hoping for a stronger finish than that if he's got a lap to run yet.
Yeah, I think he's done his 2 laps, so I'm pretty sure he's pretty much done. But at the moment, the talking point, Josh Anderson, he set a time of a 2:03.407 and snatched pole position away from Enzo there in his final lap.
That's fantastic. Josh, as we know, is a very strong local driver. He's been had a few races here this week. Hasn't spent a lot of time in the Skippy this season, but has turned up for a few races this week, including the race we saw just gone. To snatch pole from Enzo, though, that's a mighty fine achievement.
Yeah, it certainly is, and qualifying is finished, folks, so let's go through our grid while the guys are getting ready to join the server here. So Josh Anderson will start from pole with the scorching 2:03.407. Enzo Cantor, keep an eye on him, folks, starting out a second. Third, Dennis Johansson. Fourth, Ben Furhoff. Marcelo Rivera, he will be starting out of fifth tonight. Sixth, Luke Whitten, followed by Stephen Brumfield in seventh. Nico Zesavoom, a new name there, in eighth. Gustavo Conde out of 9th. Mark McDonald will start out of 10th. Out of 11th we have Kevin Henderson, followed by Benjamin Soko out of 12th. 13th Russell Clark, followed by Mick Gray in 14th. 15th is Samuel Collins, followed by Jason Willman in 16th. Ian Robertson will start out of 17th. Vince Browning 18th, and rounding out of your field of 19 is Anthony Mansorella.
Yeah, some strong international talent up the front with Enzo and Dennis, Bernie, and then mix in there with some local guys as well, with Josh Anderson and Ben bookending those two. Luke Whitten down in fifth. It could make for an... I think I've got them all wrong again, have I, Bernie? But looks like an interesting race shaping up anyway.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we've got a few big names out there tonight that we haven't seen for a few weeks, so they're always it's great to have them back. But the real race is going to be at the start between Josh Anderson and Enzo Cantor as the lights now go to red and we're in starters' hands. So we'll hear the revs rising now. We're under green and we've got a nice clean start here. Josh Anderson takes the lead. Enzo Cantor straight across to the racing line there and tucks in front of Dennis Johansson, I think it is.
Yeah, the action will all be here down in the first chicane here, Bernie. They'll be trying to get through nice. Oh, as Dennis touches Enzo in the rear, he gets a bit of wiggles, but not the kind he likes, Bernie. I think he might have some rear suspension damage as he's trying to hold on to it, but I don't think he's going to be there for long, Bernie.
Yeah, he's definitely got suspension damage, I think, as we can see the field now going past. Definitely got suspension damage there.
Yeah, and he's collected a few. Oh, that's a big incident there, Bernie. He won't make friends, unfortunately, via that if he's not pulled over with such significant suspension damage, but we've had a big incident there, Bernie. Most of the field looks to have got through okay, but Enz is still continuing on. We saw that at Lime Rock Park, and he's pulled over now and looks to be putting it into the pits, Bernie. Yeah,
and it looks like Anthony Mansorella was caught up in that. And we'll go back and we'll have a quick look at the replay here, and then we'll jump back up to the start. So yeah, he won't be making many friends with that, will he?
No, he's come out of the first chicane. He's copped a bit of a touch from Dennis, unfortunately, in the rear, and then as they've gone through the second chicane, Bernie, he's struggling to hold on to it, and then as he's gone to take the second chicane, there's a stack of cars lining up behind him, and he's just collected. I'm sorry, I can't see who that is around him. It was Marcelo Rivera. He's picked up on the way through there, Bernie, and caused quite a pile up, it would seem.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he's in the pits now. But let's jump back up to the front of this race. So Josh Anderson at the moment comes across the line for the first lap. He will be leading, of course. Marcelo Rivera's in the pits. I think that's... I'm going to reset my overlays.
Yeah, you're right, mate. It looks like Luke Witten's now just gone past Ben Herhoff to take over third position, Bernie, and he's now trying to chase down Dennis. We don't know how much damage Dennis is taking. Has picked up after that touch on Enzo into the first chicane. Yeah, he looks like he's missing his front wing, Bernie. So I would imagine that'll be slowing him down enough for Luke Witten, who's only 1.1 seconds behind him, to be catching him pretty quickly at this stage, Bernie.
Yeah, and then right behind Luke we have Ben Furhoff, and Nico Zavon is under pressure here from Gustavo Condi and Stephen Brumfeld.
Yeah, there's a nice little race pack there forming between those three. Ben will be putting a lot of pressure on Luke. Ben's had a lot of strong racing here this week with some mixed results, but always been really fast. Luke, as I said, he's done a ton of racing here this week, and I was surprised by his qualifying result, but not surprised by his pace in the race proper. If you look down 6th through 8th with Nico, Gustavo and Stephen Brumfield there, they're in quite a tight pack. I expect, barring incident, they'll stick together and just sort of work their way through to position themselves for the closing laps. Although, no, I thought we lost Stephen there for a moment, but his network's held together. But yeah, so looking back up the front now, Bernie, Ben's right on the tail of Luke, and they'll be trying to chase down Dennis at this stage.
Yeah, they certainly will, and Luke's pretty hungry for a good result here, isn't he? I guess with Enzo now crashing out, so to speak, this is definitely going to help Luke to regain the lead in the Monday Lights if he has a good result here.
Yeah, that's right. We've seen Ben just pull out from behind the slipstream. This is your best passing opportunity here into the first chicane, Bernie. I doubt Luke will be challenging him here. He'll just be looking to use that draft as much as Ben now. So he's given Ben the bit of the overspeed, and they've pulled in a little bit on Dennis as a result. But you're right. Luke will be looking for a really strong finish here after a less than stellar qualification by his standards. With Enzo out and scoring no points, it is a good opportunity for him to bag a few and try and bridge that gap.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's on his mind at the moment, I'd say. And sitting in 4th, he'll be trying to get that car up, of course, but he doesn't want to take any risks here.
No, you're absolutely right. He needs to solidify that position. He'll be working with Ben, doing as much as they can to catch Dennis, although, you know, my earlier prediction of them catching him hasn't really shaped up as yet, because Dennis is out to a 2.7 second gap at this stage, which is a slight increase over last lap, maybe of a tenth or two. Even with the draft and the overspeed there, they haven't really managed to catch him yet, but with 10 laps remaining, or the balance of 10 laps remaining, they'll be doing everything they can to bridge it, Bernie.
Yeah, and you can see that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're not fighting amongst each other here. Luke's more than happy to sit behind Ben at the moment and just get towed back up towards Dennis. But out front, Josh Anderson, his gap, 2.8 seconds. His last time was a 2:03.684. So they're putting in some pretty fast times out there.
Yeah, look, they're really good times. I'm not sure what the temperature was for you, but I'm looking at it's about 41 degrees on my screen, Bernie, on track at the moment. With the variable temperatures, you'll see that potentially change throughout the race. But 2:03s at that track temperature is really, really impressive. The Skippy this season at this track has been a bit quicker with the nature of the new setup. It's really changed a few corners around here, but I imagine the drivers would say for the better, given the times that they're pulling. As we see Luke pull out again on the inside of Ben. Ben lifts to let him pass. They're really working together well and trying to bridge that gap, Bernie.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we can see further down Stephen Brumfeld, Nico and Gustavo here. They're having a great battle at the moment. Stephen's holding out Nico, but Nico's putting the pressure on.
Absolutely, Bernie. He's right up behind as they come into the second chicane here, the Villeneuve chicane. Cracking down into third gear to take the second half of that, really out wide onto the AstroTurf there. You can use all of it here as they come down into the second gear left-hander at turn 7. Not really making much of the AstroTurf there, which is a surprise. You can go right out wide there with not only not incurring an off-track incident, as we see Gustavo pull up on the inside into turn 9. He's had a look there. It's probably not in his best interest at this stage because he's really slowing them both down and giving Stephen the opportunity to run away with it a bit here, Bernie.
Yeah, and they don't want that to happen. I haven't really driven a lot around Imola, but it definitely feels like a track that you want to stay in the draft around.
Yeah, look, the draft really doesn't give you an opportunity to pass other than on the main straight, but it's certainly, as you get around here, a guy who might be 3 or 4 tenths slower around the track can certainly hold his own against the quicker driver, and then strategically, if he sets himself up correctly, he can really push that pass in the last lap or two and try and defend if it's before the last lap, using the overspeed you get from the draft on the main straight. Realistically though, if you want to take advantage of that, you really need to be within inside half a second, as we see Stephen run a bit wide through the last corner. If you want to take full advantage and make a nice clean pass, minimising your risk, you really want to be within half a second, preferably 4 tenths or even 3 as you enter the main straight, to really maximises your chances of getting a clean pass, as we see Nico go up on the and I would suggest that Stephen blocked him a bit there potentially, or at least moved across to take a more defensive line as they continue on battling away here, Bernie.
Yeah, he definitely did the double jig, as I'd call it. Some drivers would construe that as a block, and again cuts the nose off on Gustavo here, or Nico, sorry. There's only so many times you can do that before you might find them giving your rear car a bit of a tap.
Either that, or you might find the good folks at iRacing knocking on your door with a bit of a protest, because that's I'm not suggesting he's doing too much of it for that at the moment, but they certainly frown upon it in the racing community, just as they do in the real world racing community around here. People don't tend to like that, as you say, but it's still shaping up for a good battle as we see the guys coming down into the bottom part of the circuit here through 12 and 13. That corner there is really challenging, Bernie. Last season it was I found it anyway, very easy to come in and lose it, but more so this season you're seeing people lose it on the way out, as we see a passing opportunity here through the third and final chicane there, Bernie, but he's held on to it and doing well.
Yeah, now they're coming down towards the final corner in the Ravassa, and we can see now Nico's got the inside run here. He wants to hang on to it on the outside, and he'll get the inside into Ravassa, but Stephen holds on. Yeah,
look, they're battling pretty hard here, Bernie. I suggest that Nico might be getting a little bit impatient here, and Gustavo's just settling in at the back, watching the action, hoping that he can get an opportunity down the track, as once again you see Nico look to try and grab that inside line, and I think Stephen might have thought better of it this lap, and may look to tuck him behind as they head into the first chicane.
Yeah, and Stephen's also got no front wing on that car, so that's going to affect him a little bit. But now, all of a sudden, Gustavo is taken to the infield there.
Yeah, he's gone a bit deep there in the brakes by the looks. He'll also cop a slowdown here, Bernie, so that'll cost him big time. He'll be off the back of this group and struggling, that pair at least, and struggling to get back on as best he can. So that's a very costly mistake there. And I don't know if he missed his braking mark or was trying to make an overtake, but as I said, quite a costly mistake, Bernie.
Yeah, he's been going on the outside, but he's found the grass, and he's just had to hang on to it, as we see the replay. Good save, though. And,
yes, he's done really well there to hang on to that, Bernie. It's not easy out there, but like I said, it's going to cost him potentially the back of those guys, as he's now 1.3 seconds behind. I'm really pleased to see up front, Bernie, the work that Ben and Luke have been doing has really paid off. They're now within a second of Dennis. who once again, as we mentioned previously, doesn't have his front wing at the moment, and they're now 0.8 behind as they head through that final chicane down into the final part of the circuit, Bernie, and that work, as I said, has paid off, and they're back in touch, and I'm sure they'll be looking to grab the podium positions for themselves at this stage.
Yeah, that's what they're really fighting for, isn't it? Because at the moment, Josh Anderson's pretty much cleared out. That gap's out to 4.1 seconds, and he's putting in blistering times. His last time, Josh Anderson did a 2:03.037.
Yeah, that's massive, Bernie. Like I said, in these conditions, that's really good times. You know, during the week in cooler sessions, you see guys crack well into the 202s, but to do a low 203 in these conditions is really impressive, Bernie. As we see Luke make that move cleanly into the first chicane, and Ben just tuck in behind them, and so we've now got a battle pack for 3 for those final spots on the podium, Bernie.
Yeah, and that was we're actually on the gyro can with Ben Furhoff here, and you could see as Luke picked up the draft there and the momentum he carried into that corner, even Ben nearly got enough momentum to get past Dennis then.
Yeah, well, the 2 things at play there. One, Luke and Ben both had the effect of the draft that Dennis was missing out on. He's also missing his front wing, if I recall correctly, so you know he won't be reaching his top speed down the main straight, and you know, so sort of double trouble for him. He'll be looking to really hang on to these guys now, because if they do manage to get any sort of gap from him, he'll really struggle to catch them, particularly seeing as how well they've been working together, Bernie.
Yeah, exactly right. And I guess at what point does this alliance between Luke and Ben cease to exist? Is it last lap, or do you think they'll start fighting amongst themselves if they can clear Dennis here?
Well, to be honest with you, it could be a number of scenarios in my mind. It could be if there's a mistake and any sort of gap. You know, as soon as you see better part of a second's gap, you'll take that and run with it. Until then, you know, we've got 6 laps, balance of 6 laps remaining as Dennis goes deep under brakes into the turn 18 there, Bernie, looking to maximise his run onto the main straight, although he's a bit slow out of there. The draft will keep him and Ben in touch, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Ben go past him nice and easily here on the main straight, even though he's probably still got a bit of that draft from Luke there. And yeah, as you see, Ben's really not got the speed now to go with him. Unless he wants to try a bit of a move into the first chicane, he'll probably just have to settle for tucking back in, which he does now. Going back to your question, Bernie, in terms of alliances, like I said, as soon as there's a gap, all bets are off. But I'd suggest that another point of interest there is they've got nearly they've got a 9.5 second gap on Nico in 5th position, so they probably feel comfortable, you know, having a look here and there as they're all running into the dirt there, as they head down into Tosa turn 7. Interesting that Dennis is taking a different line there to Luke and Ben. Quite interesting there. The alliances will, you know, they've got 9.5 seconds gap, so you'll find that at any stage now, you know, they might feel to have a look here and there, and then, as you say, I'd suggest that the final 2 laps would be where the gloves really come off, Bernie.
Yeah, well, that's about 3 laps time, and it's quite interesting. We've only got 5 laps left, but that's still probably around about 45% of the race yet to run, because we've just passed the 50% mark. So still a long way to go here tonight, but it's very interesting racing, that's for sure. And it was funny looking at the main straight when Ben pulled out. That toe Dennis had was probably the equivalent of having his DRS opened, I guess.
Absolutely, it was a bit like that, wasn't it? As Dennis sort of shows the nose on the inside into turn 18 again, he tucks back in line. He's probably, the back's a bit loose there, Bernie. He's probably trying to get the better run here, so he's not under threat from Ben this lap. But yeah, look, back to strategy. As you say, there's now 4 laps to go as they cross the line here. Ben would be thinking, look, I need to get at least one more position. Before I if I'm a hope of getting this position as they go 3 wide into the first chicane now, Bernie. Looks like Ben's going to fight it out with Luke. They've got through cleanly as Dennis hung on there. Yes, he has. Luke's got a poor run as Dennis looks up the inside again now, and Luke's sort of given up the position now in the hope of that Ben won't run away with it, Bernie.
Tell you what, I was holding my breath there, but that was fantastic driving by all three. We were actually riding with Ben Furhoff there, and I jumped out of that view. I was getting too freaked out.
Yeah, I was holding more than my breath, I think, Bernie, but as timely kind of passed for Ben, he was, as I was just saying, he needed to make at least one position if he hoped to get 2 out of it. Now he's got both with the balance of 4 laps now, Bernie, and it's now Luke who's on the back of this pack with the work ahead of him.
Yeah, as a driver, I'd normally get mighty nervous if I'm trying to go in between 2 guys coming into a chicane, but to their credit, they didn't even touch wheels or anything.
No, they did really well there to get through there, and all drivers showed good control and good patience and good respect. I'm sure they've all got a lot of trust in each other. I know Ben and Luke have been racing together a lot, and Dennis has done a lot of laps here this week, so he'd know where he can position his car and how to control it in these circumstances, Bernie.
Yeah, definitely would. And at the moment, Stephen's now all over the back of Nico here, and these guys are battling it out for 5th and 6th. And there's also a bit of a battle going on between Benjamin and Gustavo in 7th and 8th behind them.
Yeah, we saw Gustavo run deep through turn 1 and cop a slowdown penalty, and now he's battling with Benjamin Soko, who's caught up with him. They're about just under 3 seconds behind Nico and Stephen, battling it out for 5th and 6th, and they're shaping up to be a good battle there, Bernie, and that's probably the best battles we can see on the track at the moment, obviously, other than our 3 up the front. Although I just grabbed a look at Luke there, Bernie. He's about a second behind here. I'm not sure if he copped any suspension damage last lap, but it's really looking like it's shaping up between Dennis and Ben at this stage, Bernie.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the back of Luke's car. It looks very loose, and it didn't look that loose a couple of laps ago. It was actually Dennis having the trouble, but now Luke might be fighting a bit of a setup issue here.
Potentially, Bernie's got a little bit of a bent front wing. I'm looking at him from front on at the moment. The only thing I can see is maybe his right rear suspension's a little bit pushed in, Bernie, which will affect him quite a bit potentially. But no, I can't be definitive if he's got any damage. The only thing I can say is he's struggling to hold on to the back of the 2 in front, Bernie.
Yeah, he certainly is, and just then as he went through Piratella there, the back end of his car definitely looked very loose to me.
Yeah, he'll be watching the 2 in front, assuming he's got some damage, hoping that the battling that they're doing with about 2.5 to go is going to keep him in touch here, because Dennis all over the back of Ben into that final chicane now, Bernie. Really pushing hard, really trying to pressure. He runs very wide there. He runs the risk there, Bernie, of a slowdown penalty. You can use all the green stuff there, but once you're outside there, you've got a real chance of a slowdown. It doesn't look like he's picked that up, and he's just nested back in behind Ben, Bernie.
Yeah, as far as slowdowns and that sort of thing goes around here, how tight are the margins around here? Like, we've seen some circuits that you just put one wheel off and you're going to get a slowdown penalty.
Well, it's not too bad. I think they've revised it a little bit from last week. In fact, last season, I should say, at this track, if anything, as Dennis pulls to the outside or the inside now of Ben with the run that he's got, and it's good to see Luke ranging up again. Oh, we've got the potential for 3 wide again here, Bernie, with 2 laps remaining. Back to your question about the slowdowns, it's actually really generous here, Bernie. Anything that's the special fake green stuff, the AstroTurf, is generally in play. Anything outside that is at least an off-track incident, if not a slowdown. But generally, I've got to say, unless you cut a corner or go outside the AstroTurf, you can see again they're ranging right outside all of their car on the AstroTurf here. They'll do the same again through Tosa here at turn 7. You'll see them most likely take a full use of the AstroTurf there, as you see it again. No slowdowns or incident points there, Bernie, just maximising your use of the width of the track.
can see now Ben just getting that toe once again. While these guys are battling, at least it's allowing Luke here to hang on to these guys, but as we saw, once they get a bit of a gap, Luke's struggling.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I don't know if it was in the last lap or two, but Luke's holding the fastest lap of the race from what I can tell, as he just cops those silent cops on the apex of turn 12 there, Bernie. That can really unsettle the car and end your night. But as you say, he's ranging up. Ben's looking on the inside. He's got Luke on the outside. They've all squeezed through and made it fit there, Bernie. Again, it's really high quality stuff here tonight.
It certainly is, and these guys are battling for second, third and fourth. If you're wondering who's leading this race, folks, well, it's Josh Anderson. He's already starting to lap Mick Gray. The gap is 6.7 seconds, and Josh's last lap, well, he's lapping in the low 203s, almost the 202s.
Yeah, he's continued to run a really hot pace there. He's got an 8-second gap on second place. Shame to see Mick down there trailing so far at the back of the field. He hasn't done a lot of racing here this week. I noted he was a bit off the pace in the previous race, and he's only running his best lap tonight's only a 2:05, Bernie. So he might be suffering from some damage or something from an earlier incident tonight, but he also might be suffering from a bit of practice this week. I know that a lot of the guys haven't raced a lot here, some of the regulars, but I know they come out supporting each week the series, and it's great to have them here. As we're on the last lap now, and the battle up the front is as hot as ever, Bernie.
It certainly is. We've got Ben Furhoff now defending to Dennis going wide, and Luke's trying to get into this, but he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get up there onto the podium.
Yeah, he might just be thinking, you know, I've got a bag full of points here. I don't want to put too much on the line, but interesting that Dennis is still tucked in behind. There's an opportunity here if he wants, or Ben moves over a little bit to cover the line. Wasn't in the braking zone, so probably not considered blocking, but certainly quite aggressive defence there, Bernie.
It certainly is, and this is when the gloves are pretty much off, but we'll jump back to Josh Anderson shortly to watch him go across the line. But second and thirds to play for here. Luke Whitten's trying to hang on, but I just don't think he's got the car for it tonight.
No, he looks like he might have settled here for either the fourth position or an incident in front to move him up. The guys are really pushing hard though. Dennis was almost risked another slowdown penalty there as he exited turn 13, but he's managed to hold on to it. He's pressuring into turn 18 now, Bernie, but he's really now got to rely on getting the better run out of the final corner onto the main straight, Bernie. He's lined it up really well. He's got a little bit of draft. Luke nearly loses it behind them. I suggest that he probably... Oh, it's going to be close, Bernie. It's going to be close, but I think Ben might have it at this stage. Yes, I think he just hung on there, Bernie. Ben's won it by 0.03 of a second by the look, Bernie. Not many smaller margins than that, you'd have to say, as we see Nico looks like he's just about to pip Stephen by a similar margin there, Bernie. A great finish there as well.
Yeah, and Dennis blew his motor just as he crossed the line in Skippy tradition, I guess you could say. Kevin Henderson, he's had a reasonable run tonight, not the best. Came home in 10th position in front of Ian Robertson.
Yeah, it looks like Kevin's got a bit of rear wing damage there. Could have been picked up at the start. Not lapping in the usual high positions that he'd like, Bernie, and his fastest lap was a 2:04.8, so a bit off the pace tonight for Kevin. Unfortunately, I noticed Anthony Mansarella came home in 9th as well. A bit off the pace for him as well, Bernie.
Yeah, and we had 2 retirements tonight, folks. Russell Clark retired after... around about 3 laps in. He was one of the victims in that first incident. Marcelo Rivera, also involved in that incident, also retired from tonight's race.
Yeah, and of course Enzo sitting in the pits didn't run any laps after that big incident at the start there, Bernie, either. So that'll hurt his championship points, although he was pretty strong sitting at the top there as well, Bernie. Yeah,
he certainly was, and in a way, it's a reverse of last week, isn't it? Because Enzo sort of he got all the points last week when Luke and Kevin came together, but this week it's been the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely, Bernie. Last week he benefited from some unfortunate incidents that took place, but this week, through no fault of his own, the initial incident he copped some suspension damage, and then of course in trying to limp around to the pits in the middle of an angry pack of bees, as it were, had the major incident that ended his night, Bernie.
Yeah. Well,
hi guys.
Oh, hello. Speak of the devil. Yeah, we're just reviewing the first lap incident there, Enzo. It looked like you had a bit of a rear end tap coming into Tumbarello, and then it went from bad to worse for you.
Yeah, hi guys. I was in the room just after exiting the race. I was listening to your commentary, and I'm not so happy at all. Because I didn't expect that incident with Dennis and Joshua took the corner a bit slower than I thought, so I had to brake in the last moment, and Dennis couldn't react fast enough to avoid the contact, and then suspension damaged. I was trying to hold on the car because I didn't know how much was the car damaged. I was very angry for that contact, and I have to say sorry to Marcelo Rivera and other drivers who were involved in the incident in the next corner, because I only was trying to drive the car, but I understood that it could not. I could not do it, and then I went to tow. So again, very sorry to Marcelo and other drivers.
Yeah, no worries, but it didn't look like, from what we saw, it didn't look like a big tap, but as Alex has told me before, it doesn't take much to break the rear suspension of these cars.
You know, this car is not so... it's very fragile, so you can tap from behind it. If you tap another car from behind exactly in the center, you could hit the gearbox, and in some cases you can not damage at all the car in front of you, or a little damage in the rear wing. But if you hit the car on the tire, on the suspension, the damage is sure, and always often is the car become undrivable. So yeah, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, definitely can hear it in your voice, but I'm going to pass you over to Alex, and he can have a quick chat with you, Enzo.
Yeah, g'day Enzo. Sorry for you to have a disappointing result this week, mate. I've been wanting to ask you all week. We're here at Italy at Imola. I've been wondering if the Italians hold this track in high esteem as we Australians hold Bathurst. I mean, we all, worship the great Mount Panorama. I'm just wondering what this track holds for you over in Italy.
Yeah, is my track, is my home, and I extremely wanted to take a good victory here and some important championship points for the official series and for these Monday Lights. But I don't know if you looked at my results this week, but I didn't take any good result, because yesterday was a very unlucky day. I was involved in some incident in which it wasn't my fault all the time. Today again, and yeah, I'm very disappointed, because today it was the last chance to get some good points. It was a very high soft, higher than yesterday, so I was happy because I was starting in second position, and race I knew the race was long, and I was almost sure to do a good race, but I never could thought to finish the race in the first corner, and yeah, I very disappointed.
Yeah, it's a shame to see, mate. I see this is your fourth race of the week, and you're right. We snagged the second highest strength of field, so it was a good opportunity. I noticed you picked up a win earlier in the week, which would have felt nice, I'm sure. But you know, in terms of the overall championship, you're still well out in front. I know Philippe Lebert's made a bit of a late season rush, but even if this becomes a drop round for you, which I suggest it would, you're still, what's that, nearly 110 points clear. So as hard charging as Philippe is towards the end of the season with 1 week to go, I think you're pretty close to stitching it up, mate. But and again, tonight will be a drop round for you in the Monday Lights Championship. You're out in front there. Luke will pick up a few points on you, I think, with his finish in fourth position, but not enough to bridge the gap, which at the start of tonight was 16 points. And just a quiet note, I just looking on the server there before Dennis Johansson left, he made another apology, mate. He knows that it was, you know, an incident that perhaps could have been avoided, but in the heat of the moment, I'm sure these things happen, as you can appreciate, Denzo.
Yeah, you said he apologized. I didn't understand well. Dennis apologized for the incident.
Yeah, that's correct, mate. He I was just reading the chat in the server and the text chat there, and he made a couple of apologies. He wasn't sure if you were still there or not, so I thought I'd pass that on.
Okay, yeah, okay, no problem. I know he didn't it on purpose, but I know he's an experienced driver, so I thought he could brake a bit earlier in order to avoid any contact. But then it's racing. Sometimes shit happens, you know. And yeah, I'm not pretty sure to win the championship in official series because with a good result today, I could drop another week with 171 points, and I could gain another 20 or 20 points, because the last week, next week, it's the favorite track of Philippe Lebert. I think it will be impossible to beat him in that track, and if he will catch goods off and I will not finish the race, he had to drop a week with 110 points. So with 220 points, Philippe can catch me and win the championship. So it's not it's not sure at all my win this season.
Wow, I was saying to Bernie before, mate, maths is not my strongest suit, so you've obviously put a lot of thought into that, and I would suggest, though, that it'll be tough for you to have another week like this one, mate. The week in, week out results that you've been pulling in the official races has been fantastic, and this would make, I think, a 2 in a row for you, which certainly we wish you all the best for with that, and continued success in that series and the Monday Night Lights, mate. I'll hand you back to Bernie to wind up.
Yeah, thanks for popping in, Enzo. But as always, before we let you go, did you want to give a shout out to your sponsors out there?
Yes, thank you. They are not so happy today, I think, but I have to say thanks to my sponsors, Tarsmaster, TRL, Cube, Mivano, Fabio Mantellini, Maria Colcetta, as always. And yeah, I hope to win the second time the championship in a row. And we will see if I will be lucky next week. I hope so.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll be fine next week, but best of luck with it anyway, Enzo, and hopefully we can catch up with you again next week for a chat after the final round at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, thank you, and see you next week.
So Alex, it looks like we've got Simon Chambers down there. He was running in the second split, so we'll bring him up and find out how he went and if he's got any news on how that race unfolded.
Yeah, sounds good, Bernie.
Hi Simon, welcome to RRTV's Combox. Top split here was quite a crazy start. How did the second split go down there tonight?
Oh, well, the second split was quite a crazy race, at least from my point of view. I was sort of stuck midfield. We had 18 runners in our split. I got as high as 6th, but seemed to be consistently behind a guy called Prism 3, which is an odd name. But he seemed to be causing a little bit of hassle for anybody who wanted to get by him, so I had a couple of faster guys behind me, and they basically overtook me, and as I was struggling a bit, but ran into dramas with this this unknown character that we had on there. So yeah, there's a little bit happening mid-pack and backwards.
Yeah, well, it sounds like someone's got to just send a nice little letter off to iRacing to let them know about this Prism 3 character, and hopefully they can boot him off the server.
Yep. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so do we have a podium result?
Yes, we do. First was Anton Oud, or Oud, however you say it. Second was Roel Huben. Third was Brad Parkin. I think Brad's been in here before. The other two, maybe not so much, except Anton, perhaps.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that, Simon. I'm going to hand you over to our regional expert in all things Skip Barber, and that's Mr. McCullough.
Very kind of you, Bertie. Somewhat overstated, I would argue, but yeah, it looks like some interesting racing there. Simon, we certainly had some action in our split as well. I know Anton, I've raced with in previous seasons. He's very quick. In fact, his fastest lap time would have put him at least midfield in the top split, if not higher. Brad, as you say, has been becoming somewhat of a regular in recent times. I note that you and Mark and Ken sort of were grouped together there in terms of the results, and your battle with Mark continues for the final few positions in the top 5, at least for the season overall. Quite challenging night for you tonight by the sounds of it, and Prism 3, I've just looked at the results there. That's an interesting one that might be worth reporting, mate. How did you find the conditions out there tonight generally and amongst the action?
Yeah, very slippery conditions. I probably was running. I probably should have knocked the rear tyres back 1 psi. It was. It got a bit slippery towards the end. I lost actually 2 spots. The spots to Ken Hyams, who came 5th, and Mark got me on the last lap for 6th. I was just slip sliding all over the place, so I found it fairly difficult.
Yeah, that's a shame, mate, because those 2 positions will cost you a few points in the championship. Moving on to the Super Skips, mate. I know things are starting to heat up there. You got another practice race tonight, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm actually in the session now. Mark Jeffrey just asked me about our mate Prism. Who managed to? He had a couple of collisions, that guy, and got away with it. The other guys didn't. But anyway, yeah, we're running our 15th trial race. We're going to do 17, so we'll be doing 2 again next week, Sunday and Monday at Mid Ohio. And I've also put in one for week 13 on the Sunday, and that at the moment I've put it in at Sebring as a night race. That option was available, so I've put that in there, and I'm going to have a practice session. See if we can run a night race in Skip Barber. I'm not sure.
No, that sounds really interesting there, Simon. So, folks, if you're watching this now, we'll be wrapping up soon, and you'll still have time to join in the action tonight if you're looking for a pickup race that's not official. No IR and SR on the line, just good, clean racing. Head over to the hosted section and check out for the Australian Super Skips, and keep an eye out also for a bit of nighttime racing action in the skips. Interesting to see how they go. I hope the track's well lit, Simon, because these things don't have big headlights on them.
No, that's right. I've seen a couple of the V8 races and the headlights shining brightly, and I don't think there's an option to bolt on a couple here. So it'll be interesting. I'll see what the floodlights are like. I'll do a bit of a test run.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the skippies with a couple of bolted-on spotlights. I wonder what it'd do the aerodynamics, eh? I'll pass you back to Bernie to wrap up, mate.
No worries, thanks.
Yeah, I'm thinking a bit of gaffer tape and a couple of torches on your helmet should do the job.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with a GoPro as well, I suppose. But yeah, but anyone who wants to just to shout out for Super Skips and what we're doing tonight, we've got another 5 minutes to register, and we've got a few in here, probably about 10. Be great to see some more come along. There are over 40 in the league, and certainly we're trying to run an open and accessible Skip Barber Championship for this time zone. So come on down, don't be shy.
Fantastic. Well, you heard it here first, folks. So you've got a couple of minutes to go register. So if you want to go and have some Skip Barber action, definitely jump on and go and enjoy it. But thanks for popping in, Simon. We've got a few things to cover off here before the end of our broadcast, and then I'll send Alex over to play with you guys tonight.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thanks a lot, Bernie, and thanks, Alex.
Yeah, so before we go any further, folks, let's go through the full results here so you can see where your favourite driver finished. So a very dominant performance tonight by Josh Anderson. He pretty much started from pole, led it from start to finish, and the gap was 9 seconds by the end of the 12-lap sprint. So Josh Anderson takes first. Ben Furhoff came home in second, narrowly beating out Dennis Johansson for third. Luke Whitten held on to fourth. Fifth was Nico. Sixth, Stephen Brumfeld, followed by Gustavo in seventh. Benjamin eighth. Anthony Mansorella came home in ninth. Kevin Henderson, he came home in 10th position. 11th was Ian Robertson. Samuel Collins in 12th. Jason Willman, we saw on the super slow-mo, he had a bit of a coming together with Mick Gray during the race. So Jason comes home 13th. 14th, Mark McDonald. 15th was Vince Browning, followed by Mick Gray 1 lap down. Enzo Cantor was classified in 17th, was 5 laps down. Russell Clark and Marcelo Rivera pretty much retired after that first lap incident. And I must apologise, folks. I tried to go back to the start of the race, but my telemetry's playing up tonight, and unfortunately it won't let me do it.
Oh, that's a shame, Bernie. There was a lot of action there at the start as well. You know, I was just looking at the results and thinking to myself that, you know, a lot of our regulars here are not who we're seeing up the front this week. We've got a few new folk, and you know, that first lap incident really shook things up a bit. You know, for only the second time this season we saw Enzo miss out after an incident. Russell Clark, one of our regulars, and he's running third in the championship at the moment. We didn't see much of him tonight because, you know, he was involved in that accident and then pretty much pitted the car and left. But yeah, even the likes of Mick Gray, who qualified a fair way down the order, finished. I think he finished a lap down in the end, Bernie. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag for our regulars, but great to see at the same time Josh and Ben, a couple of local guys taking out the top 2 spots on the podium, and Luke there in fourth. A good showing for the local drivers, Bernie.
Yeah, it certainly was, and Ben had a really great race tonight. I was really impressed with Dennis, Ben and Luke, 3 wide, coming into Tumbarello there, and not one of them touched wheels or ran off the track, so it shows the skill these guys have as well as the trust, and it was great to see some clean, hard racing out there.
Yeah, well, they finished, 3 of them, even at the end of it, within half a second of each other. And as we said during the coverage, Dennis was 0.03, 3/100ths of a second behind Ben. So, it speaks to how close they were racing. Yeah, I was really pleased for Ben too. He's, come back onto the scene this season. I seem to remember him a few seasons ago being a really active participant in the Skippies. It's taken him a little while to find the consistency to go with his pace. He's always seemed to have the pace, but it was just a matter of consistency in staying on the track and his PC not crashing out on him, although I know how that feels tonight. So again, yeah, I was really pleased for him, and good to see Josh Anderson back and running up the front with the pace that we know he has, Bernie.
Yeah, it certainly was great to see, that's for sure, and quite entertaining as well. But folks, if you're into your sim racing this week, boy, have we got a lineup for you. RRTV hasn't started its Christmas wind down yet. In fact, we've got 4 broadcasts for you this week. Tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m, we have the Red Pepper Racing Corvette C7 series. Fantastic series. Last round we had 45 drivers line up, and we'll be going to Monza for that. And then on Friday night, join us for some V8 supercar action. The SDRT V8 supercar series is going to Bathurst for its final round, and that'll be an enduro, 3-hour enduro, I think it is, 240 minutes, whatever that is, and it's a retro round, so definitely join us for that. And then, of course, Saturday night, we'll be bringing you live and exclusive coverage of the Blancpain Endurance Series for the Australian split. And basically, we've got quite a few Australian teams trying to qualify for the World Championship, and we'll be taking you along for the ride for that as well. That starts around about 7-8 p.m. Saturday night, but have a look on our Facebook page and you can get all the details there for that broadcast. Well, Alex, it looks like we've come to the end of tonight, and I think we've pretty much talked this race to death, so I'm glad you came up. Mid-Ohio, before we go, how is the Skippy going to go around that circuit?
Oh, a really fun, challenging track, Bernie. I know I struggled to come to grips with it. I think the guys enjoy the change in elevation, although we heard from Enzo last week, he calls that sort of thing a typical American track. He doesn't like it too much. But, yeah, look, I find it challenging. It depends on, I can't remember if they put the chicane in there or not, but it's challenging enough without it. Kind of sweeping, a bit of draft around there as you would expect in a Skippy, but a lot of fun at the same time. And if I can just comment on that schedule of yours, mate, with all that racing coming up, not only is that busy, but there's some really exciting sounding stuff in there, culminating in that pro qualifying series in the GT3, mate. You must be excited about that. Like I said to you previously, that's an outstanding coup for RRTV, mate. You must be really pleased about that.
Yeah, well, we're pretty excited about it, that's for sure, and we're starting coverage this Saturday. That's going to take us pretty much through to early March, I think, folks, with the break for Christmas, New Year. But yeah, definitely excited to call it, and definitely equally excited to see how the Aussies go against some of the best well, they are the best in the world, really. And hopefully we can get some teams qualify for the World Champs next year.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fantastic to watch. And once again, like I think I mentioned before, your platform here that you give them will draw in a bigger crowd, build support around it, raise the strength of field, increase their points haul, and increase their chances of getting into that top flight series, mate. So that's just a fantastic result all round.
Yeah, it certainly will be fun, that's for sure. And folks, if you're wondering how many teams are trying to qualify, the first round I had a look at, there was about 150 teams trying to qualify across 3 splits, and massive fields. We're talking about 50 cars per split, 2 drivers per car, so that's 300 drivers per round pretty much turning up. So it's something that we haven't really seen on RRTV, and it's going to be something hopefully quite entertaining for all our viewers out there.
Yeah, there'll be some unique challenges there. Not only have you got 50 cars on the grid, can you imagine that? You got multiple drivers in each car, so keeping up with who's who in the zoo is going to be a unique challenge, I would imagine, Bernie, but lots of fun at the same time.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've got to brush up on my European naming, that's for sure. So, anyway, Alex...
Better you than me, I think, mate.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting. But anyway, Alex, thanks for popping in again tonight and calling this race with me. It's always a pleasure having you with the skippies and calling the shots. So hopefully you've enjoyed it, and we've only got one more round to go for this year, and then we can, well, you can relax a bit for Christmas.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity again, Bernie. It's been great fun. My first night where I've had these technical issues, I tell you what, I won't want to go through that again. They came out of the blue. The old girl just decided to pack up on me. So not my best effort by far, but certainly enjoying it. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity and the support you've given the series, Bernie. So thanks very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. And anyway, folks, it's that time of the night when we say goodnight to you all. So hopefully we will see you tomorrow night for the Red Pepper Racing Corvette C7. Starts at 9 p.m. is our coverage time, and it'd be great to have you all join us and see what the Corvette boys get up to. I'll tell you what, they do have a lot of fun. But until then, on behalf of Alex McKellar, I'm Bernie Weemers, and we'd like to wish you all a very good evening. Good night.